This is BofC Live, the video and podcast series of Business of Cannabis. Find out all that we do at businessofcannabis.com. Coming up next on BofC Live, a conversation with Casey Hiltemann. She is with the Budtenders Association. We want to connect with her about the important role budtenders play in the Canadian cannabis landscape and the work that she and the association are doing to support them. Casey, thanks for being here.
Jay, thank you very much for having me. Nice
You
to
win
see
the
you.
you win the best hat of the year award so far.
Thank you very much.
I like it a lot.
A Mexican treasure.
Yeah. Did you? Is it from Mexico or did you get it this side of the country?
It is. All my hat collection mostly comes from Mexico.
Okay. Wow. See, that wasn't part of the initial part of the conversation, but I do like it. And especially the under, I don't know what to call it, but like the design under the brim. Oh, wow. Yeah. And the feather. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I know one of our viewers, Corey Herskew, will be jealous. Casey, we have you on because I want to talk about the Budtenders Association. But before we get to that, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you sort of came to the cannabis industry.
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you, Jay. I'm from Amsterdam originally, so I've always had a strong passion for cannabis and facilitated safe access to it for many, many years. In 2016, I read an article about Canada being one of the first countries to legalize it. So coming from a business background, being in sales across a variety of industries, including hospitality and health and wellness, it just seemed like a perfect fit. So Googled the most mild climate in Canada. It was Vancouver, booked a ticket, applied for a passport actually as well, booked a ticket, and then flew over and started working as a budtender in Vancouver in the legacy market.
Wow. That's a pretty...
That's where it kicked off.
Oh, that's a wild story. Hey, they're legalizing weed in Canada. Let's get there. And where's the most livable place in terms of climate, and head to Vancouver. And so from there, you land in Vancouver. You're a bud tender at a legacy shop. Like what's been the path since then?
Yeah, for sure. So from there, I had the opportunity to gain a lot of insight into the industry, the different product formats that were coming out. And immediately it became apparent that there was a need for education, but also really I had the ability to help a lot of the sales teams with business strategy as well. So I worked with several dispensary owners to open up more locations. From there, I started a solventless concentrate company called Duchess Extracts. And I also did a lot of brokering from Vancouver Island to the mainland. So I got to really experience all of the wonderful products that BC was offering. And in 2018, my cousin called me and asked me if I wanted to start a cultivation facility. And I thought that was a brilliant idea. So I moved to Ontario. We got a 70-acre property and we started building out a facility, got investment, and then we ran out of our funds pretty quickly at that point. And the project got put on hold for a little bit because that was around 2019 when everyone got really scared again after all of the initial investments. So I took on a role with an amazing company called Trek Brands and oversaw sales nationally for them. In which time I really had the opportunity to travel Canada, which was amazing. But also most importantly, visit all of the provinces and all of the stores and meet budtenders, building relationships with them and providing them with tools and resources for education and just general opportunities and events. And that led me to Budtenders Association. So that's the path in a nutshell.
I love the path. It's the stuff of a movie, frankly. Talk a little bit about what the Budtenders Association is and sort of its place in the sector, and then we'll talk a little bit about sort of what you think the future holds.
Yeah, for sure. So budtenders are obviously an extremely important piece to the puzzle in the supply chain, especially in Canada, with the way that the regulations are set up. And I saw that very quickly, having started as a bud tender and not having access to the resources that I needed, and then being on the other side of it and really trying to, educate and share knowledge with the communities. And in my time doing that, realized that there wasn't a centralized location or resource where bud tenders could turn to really access all of this education. So we're a community first. And second, we're a cannabis research company. We have a members only community with 2,200 certified members across Canada right now and growing. And it's just a place where people can connect with other members, attend events. They have exclusive access to different opportunities. And we really help bud tenders connect with the brands that they represent and sell every day.
They're the key to this whole thing. And we talk about a lot of Business of Cannabis, but so many consumers, well, even every time they go to the cannabis store or the dispensary, they don't know what's in front of them or what they can, but the bud tender is sort of that connective tissue. And even for return customers or first-time customers, maybe especially, it's like you rely so much on that person. Even when I go to my, the 17 stores that are in walking distance of my house in Toronto, like understanding what products they actually have on the shelves in that store is absolutely critical, especially when there's new offerings and especially when there's new form factors. It's so critical. And so when you're talking about sort of your 2,200 members, like what do they tell you? Like what is the experience of a bud tender like in the legal market here in either Ontario or Canada wide?
Well, challenging, and I think they've been forgotten quite a lot until now. And we're seeing that shift happening slowly, and that realization of really how important and, you know, what's the word that I'm looking for?
Well, they're really integral. It's like they're the whole thing. They make the whole operation run.
Yeah, exactly. And we're seeing that a lot more now. But tenders are underpaid, they require a lot of knowledge and experience, and they have a lot of consumer experience in their hands as well. So when we talk about destigmatizing and normalizing and the consumer walking into a store with very little knowledge and relying very heavily on the bud tender to give them everything they need and hopefully have them walk away from the store with the experience that they came in and that they're looking for. It is a very challenging role, and just like any frontline retail style position or job, there's also a lot of difficult customers that come in.
That is for sure. And there's been a bunch written up. The pandemic has made people even more of a pain in the ass in when they leave their homes, talking to people, frontline retailers. And it's all of those things. And I think two things. One, there's specialized training you actually need and coursework you need to be allowed to sell, right? Can sell in Ontario and other places. The other is like very few frontline retail people are sort of gagged by what they can say. And there's only so much a bud tender's allowed to say about certain topics from it. Like it's really a fine line and a needle to thread for some bud tenders when people come in saying, I want help sleeping, or I want, I have pain. And, it's just it is a challenging environment for bud tenders in the current regulations in Canada.
Yeah, and what we're trying to do with that is twofold. So really provide bud tenders with compliant tools to be able to navigate conversations around CBD, for example, which is one of the most challenging. And then also we're taking the approach of educating the consumer as to what questions they should be asking and how they can formulate those questions so that they can be compliantly responded to and they can actually get what they need out of that conversation.
Well, Casey, I'm gonna, as we post this video as well, we're gonna show people how to get in touch with you, because I think you're providing a valuable connection point to I think the most critical sort of consumer interface, obviously with bud tenders, but also the work that you're doing with bud tenders to understand sort of their needs, what they need to be, the education that they need, but also sort of the connective tissue to connect bud tenders with the products and brands that are on shelves. So as we post this, we'll post how to get in touch with you. And thanks for being here. And Thank you for sharing the story behind your hat, but also your travels to Canada and sort of how you entered the industry. It's fascinating. So Casey, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
That was Casey Hiltemann of the Budtenders Association. If you like this program, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you heard the show. It helps support the work we do. We're able to do what we do because of ongoing partnerships with Alterna Savings, Cannabis at Work, Cannabis Benchmarks, Ken Delta, Gallagher, Headset, and Torque and Maine. Find out all that we do at businessofcannabis.com.